Hi everybody, Greenwood here again on a bit of a wet afternoon actually, 1st of September, doing a bit of a road trip at the moment, so just thought I'd change the scenery rather than being in the workshop the whole time. And so I apologise maybe if this comes across a bit bumpy and maybe the sound not as good as maybe it should be, but anyway, we'll see how we go. Alright, so lots of things. Boy, what a world we live in, don't we, eh? Just amazing. I mean, you couldn't write this stuff if you're trying to make the most weirdest script for a movie and everything else. Unbelievable what's going on. Had a walk around town the other day actually on Sunday, and I was a bit surprised how many more shops are now closed, and yet on the same token we hear that the real estate market's doing really well, houses are selling really well, some of the prices are even going up, which is absolutely mind-blowing, which I did say, you would remember a few months ago, that there will be a period that houses will sell quite well, but that will be short-lived, and you can't have property prices increasing when the world is going through a recession and or depression, people are losing their jobs and all that kind of stuff, so the two don't go together. So if you're in that real estate industry, I've got a friend who's a real estate agent doing really well, good on her, but she she's got to be careful because this is not going to last. Also, you got the stock market, I think the American stock market has just hit all-time highs again, higher than it was in March before the crash, which is just amazing. And again, it's just totally, things just aren't sensible anymore. How can you have a stock market around the world high as it's ever been when you've got businesses going bust, companies not making as much money, and yet their share prices increased? It just beggars belief, it really does. So it's kind of the economy that we live in, quite amazing. Luckily we've still got gold and silver and Bitcoin doing really well. So as you know, I invest heavily in those ones, and starting to actually invest a bit more now in some cryptocurrencies with the help of one of my employees who's a bit of a computer nut. So that's quite interesting. So that's exciting times too. So I'll be interested to see how that goes. But there's shops closing, there's people coming out of work. We've got the Auckland lockdown, just come out of that, which obviously has hurt the rest of the country as well, stopped spending for a little while. So I feel really sorry for those businesses that were in Auckland directly related to that. And so that hurts a little bit. And I see the government's trying to weasel its way around, so maybe in the future, if we get COVID, it won't be a guaranteed lockdown, or they might keep it smaller and everything else, who knows. But yeah, interesting times. So I've been trying to conceptualize some viewpoints people have and why people have them and everything else. And I think we kind of brushed across this last time when we talked about the masks, and I still got to laugh when I see people wearing these masks, especially by themselves in cars and everything else. You really have to question what they're doing and why. But so I've come to the conclusion that there's probably two types of people in the world, and in those two types there's probably another two types, if that makes sense. So first of all, your two types of people really is your majority of people who just living life, minding their own business, want to believe what the government tells them, don't want to think out loud, and just will go along with the flow, and just whatever the government says, it must be correct, so because why wouldn't it be? And so they will believe that masks help them, even though the health department 3 months ago was saying that masks don't do anything, but now they're saying you must wear them. Really strange. So so you have those kind of people that just automatically will believe that without question, and happy to do so. And then you have the other type, which is where I fall into, which basically question everything and don't take everything without questioning it. And the reason for that, and I guess again for the reason that I came from that and everything else, is that if I look back at my life and go back to maybe 15 years ago and had the virus come out then, I probably would have been in that first group. I would have just gone along with the government and done what I'm supposed to do, and would have thought it was a bit weird, but nevertheless wouldn't be thinking too much about it and just carry it on. But now that I do question everything, I have seen the world a lot more for what it is, and realise that most governments don't know what the hell they're doing. They haven't got our best interest at heart, and we get lied to all the time. And once you've experienced that and you go down the so-called rabbit hole, and what they mean by that is when you go down into something and you find out that what you've always thought to be true suddenly isn't, it's actually quite painful for a while, and you have to go through a bit of a confirmation and a bit of change in the way that you view things and view the world. Now, some people aren't cope for that. They can't do that. They don't want to. It takes it out of their comfort zone. They just want to be in their nice, safe surroundings and world and everything else. And I heard a piece the other day which I thought was really interesting, and it was basically in order to change your opinion about something, especially if you're not used to changing your opinion, so you've got you're set in your ways and you don't think too much about the possibilities of other stuff, then what happens then is that in order to change that person's opinion is a huge step, and it has to be something really, really major, and it has to be something that they probably weren't expecting, so it's going to be a major thing in their life in order to get them to change their opinion, because in order to do that they have to go through a painful process so they can get rid of their old thoughts, grow the new thoughts, and to be, it's a bit like being reborn, if you like. And so that's a hard process for a lot of people to do, especially for the first time. Now, when you have, as I said, gone down the rabbit hole and realised that the world is not actually what you think it is, and you realise that most of the stuff out there we actually don't know, then it becomes a bit easier to find information and then make your opinion on the stuff that you find rather than what officials or whatever, friends or whatever might tell you. And I'm always of the opinion too that while I might have strong views about something, I am always willing to change my views if somebody can show me evidence that my views are not correct, not factual or whatever. And if someone can do that, I'm more than willing to do. But I will not change my opinion or be persuaded by someone telling me stuff that's not factual, that doesn't make any sense, that's propaganda, and just because 90% of people think that way doesn't mean it's true. In actual fact, more often than not, history always says that, is that if most people think a certain way, it's actually not true. So and that's why I think a lot of people, when you talk to them and trying to explain a different point of view, a lot of people get quite upset about it and quite emotional even, because again, in order for them to accept that change of view, they are going to have to do a bit of a rebirth, if you like, and that's painful and not easy, especially if it's one of the first times, and people just prefer not to, and they just want to live their sheltered life. And I actually understand that, and nothing wrong with it, I guess, but I just don't like people being played as sheep. And this mask wearing thing is just one of those things. Now, some of you are going to say that I'm totally wrong and blah blah blah, and that's fine. You're most welcome to your opinion, but I have not seen any evidence yet, and no one has been able to show me any evidence that masks work. And so you have to ask, why are they doing it? Why do we have to wear these masks? Especially if you can wear anything that's made out of a handkerchief or whatever. It makes no sense at all. And of course, what it's all about is controlling the public. And so, that's my view on that. But if someone can come out and show me scientific evidence, tests that they've done, that wearing a mask, including a handkerchief around your nose or face, can protect you from a virus, then I'm willing to look at that, and I will, if they can show me scientific evidence, I'll change my mind. But until that time, just because an official says it, or a government official, or worse, there's the World Health Organization, which is the guy that runs that. You want to do a Google search on him and where he came from, what he used to do, my God, I mean, it's almost worse than Killer Bill Gates. So you got to look at this stuff, and most people don't want to, because they've got better things to do, they've got a life they want to lead, and then that's fine, I understand that. But I find it fascinating. So when you find out about stuff that you know is not true, and you find the public following it and everything else, I just find it really fascinating how easy led as a society we are and where that's going to. And the freedom that we are losing, the amount of freedom that the governments are imposing on or taking away from us now is just amazing. And we're never going to get it back. I mean, they're not going to suddenly go, here, we want you to take this card and it's going to track every movement you ever have, and now once COVID's finished, then we can just destroy it. That ain't going to happen. I mean, it's going to be used. It'll be used. It always does. Show me anything that the government uses temporary that doesn't end up being full-time. I mean, that's just the way governments work. So we are destroying our liberty, we're losing our freedom, and most people think it's fine because it's to do with health and all that kind of stuff. So I just really worry about it. We're going to go to a cashless society, which is really bad. We've got the Fed now coming out and saying that they can't control inflation anymore. They're going to let it go above 2%, which is really weird because it's way above that now. It's about 10%. It's just that the way they measure it, they change it to make it look like it's 2%. Another lie from governments. And so that's because they're printing all this money, which causes inflation, of course. And we're going to end up doing a hyperinflation like Walmart Germany had way back in the early 20s, and going to have hyperinflation around the world, which they want so they can pay their debt off, and it's going to be amazing. So you need to protect yourself, you need to protect your wealth, you need to have some precious metals, you need to have some crypto, and you need to be awake. And my pledge to people is just go out there, do your own homework, wake up, so that when all this shit happens, which we're in now, but it's only just started, the next 2 years when all this stuff happens, you won't get hurt, you won't get destroyed, you won't lose all your wealth, because a lot of people will, and hopefully it won't be you. Alrighty, so I hope that came out alright, even though I'm driving, busy road, wet, and I hope it's not too bumpy. So enjoy your evening, and we'll catch up next time. Thank you. Bye bye. Oh, and like, subscribe. I keep forgetting to say that, but I'm supposed to, aren't I? All that kind of stuff. Although YouTube, I'm surprised. I watch a lot of YouTube videos that actually get censored now and get taken down, because when you start talking about stuff that doesn't follow the government guidelines, they censor it. They take it down. So we don't have free speech in New Zealand or around the world now. It's a lot of it's censored, which is again very scary. So fight against that. Like this, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.